Hello, everyone, and welcome to Construction Business TV. My name is Natalie Benoit, and I'm reporting for Quality Trades and CBTV. Today, I'm joined by Pat Gagliano, the founder and designer of Finished Basement NJ, located in Freehold Township, New Jersey. So, one of the first questions I actually wanted to ask you is, how did you get into the construction business and specifically working like in basements?
So I got into the construction business at a very young age. Right in high school, I was always, the typical wood shop and stuff like that. And I knew I loved doing. I wanted to work with my hands. That's something that I always knew. I was even doing projects. When I was in high school, I was getting little side jobs working for people and just doing whatever I can to be creative. I remember one time my parents went away for a weekend, and I lived actually in a bedroom in the basement. It was kind of like a split level. I literally gutted and remodeled my whole bedroom, and they came home. All my furniture's out at the curb, and I took drawers and I built them into walls, and I thought like I didn't know what to expect when I got home. Wow. And they came home and they were just like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Like, because it was like a custom bedroom, and it was actually my first real project, and it's kind of interesting, and just went from there.
Wow, and you did that all by yourself, like redoing. How
Yeah,
long did that take you?
It took me a weekend. I literally worked the entire weekend trying to zero away, and I was like, I knew that if I asked them, they'd probably say no. Because like, who's going to allow like a 16-year-old kid?
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to let a 16-year-old kid just demo a bedroom and like come up with this creative idea. So I seen an opportunity and I went for it, and fortunately, it went well.
It went.
And then from that point on, like it was super creative room, and I just kind of went from there. I knew I just had. Every time I look at something, I always think I have a better way or a new way of doing it or something different, and it's how I look at everything.
Nice. So would you say that that moment was kind of how Finished Basement NJ started, or how did you get your business up and running?
Yes. So no, the basement business wasn't born at that point. But I guess me as a creative contractor or carpenter, I knew that my path was set. It was interesting in high school when all my friends were taking their SATs, and I had a nice core group of friends, and every single one of them went on to be doctors and lawyers and whatever. Every single one of them went to college, but me. I didn't even take my SATs. They all went that Saturday, and I was like, I'm going to work. So that's just not my path in life.
Right.
And it was the best move ever. But I got into construction, and then one thing led to another. I was actually by the time I was 35 years old, I had a very large commercial general contracting business. We were doing about 15 million a year in business, and it was a big company. For my age, I had 50 union carpenters on payroll, and one morning I just woke up and said, "Can't do this anymore. It's just it's like I was chasing the money, not chasing the dream." And I just walked in. I told all my employees, I said, we have about a year's worth of backlog. I had architects and engineers and project managers all on payroll. And again, we were grossing 12 to 15 million over a year span. And I just said, nobody's fired. We're going to, look for a job, and we're just going to slowly work all our work, about a year's worth of backlog. And that's what we did. And then we closed it down. And at that point, it was kind of like the, oh my God moment. Now all of a sudden there's no income, and I had a very successful business. There's no reason to shut it down other than the fact that I truly felt in my heart that I would, my oldest daughter, I have 4 kids. My oldest was just going into high school, and I just wasn't spending enough time with them. I wasn't being the family guy that I wanted to be. And I said, I'd rather live in a trailer park and have that life and family, and I'll figure it out, and wherever the path takes me. But turned out to be the greatest thing ever. And very scary at the moment, but, I believed in myself. And it was actually my wife that steered me down the basement line, because I always finished basements here and there. Loved doing them. I always had fun doing them. I always felt good. I was excited about them. I would talk about them. But they were just like a little side business to this, multi-million-dollar business. You weren't making money doing them. And then, so now we're done. No job, no business, no nothing. And she's like, well, finish basement. So I'm like, well, how are we going to make a living doing that? And the answer
You
was,
made
well,
it happen.
the answer was scale it. And that's what we did. We really, truly scaled it. And I kind of developed some real proprietary systems that, as far as I can tell, I don't think there's anybody in the country doing. Everybody looks at construction and thinks, well, you can't create systems for construction. You could do that at $4, and you could do that. Ford Motor can do an assembly line, and Joe can put on the tires, and Harry can put on the hood, and and then the car rolls out. But nobody thought of the idea of how can you possibly do that if you don't have one building for everybody to be in. But I figured it out, and that's what really helped us scale.
And speaking of that, you said you're using some systems that you don't think other people in the country are doing. Could you expand a little bit more on that?
Well, but I'd like not to give away too much of our secrets, but at the same time, we really didn't reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? I just figured out a way, quite frankly, to simplify everything. I broke the basement process down into 131 steps. And as soon as we sign a contract with a homeowner, they'll get a timeline, and we'll talk about that. And that timeline is basically the guide for their job. Now, don't get me wrong. If the basement is not going to have a bathroom, there's going to be a bunch of those steps that will be removed, or we'll just skip them in the process. But that guideline, and don't get me wrong, it gets adjusted every year, and we play with it. But it's a guideline where we come in, and for argument's sake, we do our framing, and the framing gets complete, and then we know once that's complete and verified, we have a backend system that we created where it will verify that was done, and it's ready for the next step. It's not automated, but we made it so that anybody can follow it. We can hire somebody new, and they can easily learn and help us grow. And like for right now, might sound crazy, but we have 75 basements in progress right now.
So you're all working on at the same time.
At the same time. So imagine, if you will, there's 131 steps, and they're pretty much spread out along that timeline. So they're not all in step one. They're not all in step 120. They're all through the board. And and depending on townships, some jobs might pass another job in the timeline, because maybe, especially now, which we could talk a little bit about with COVID and everything, somehow all these towns are acting very differently. So I don't want to ramble,
Oh, no, that's good. Great insight. It sounds like you're very busy. You work every day. You own this, business that has 75 projects happening simultaneously. So could you walk me through, like, what is one day in your routine, a day in your life when you have several projects going, you have to go see everything? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, we posted a really cool video one day of a day in the life of Pat, just like for fun. And I just was, I get my car, and, like, hey, we're going to this stop. And then we put a little thing there. Then when we're all done, we kind of put it together into a short video. But what's happening, I'm really fortunate. At this point, I have an amazing infrastructure. And quite frankly, it would be impossible to do without that. And it's something that I didn't have in the beginning. In the beginning, I was swinging the hammer. I was going on the appointments. I was doing everything, just like every, small business does when they're starting out. And slowly but surely, I started taking more and more risk. Meaning, I remember at the time when I wanted to hire my very first secretary, I was like, I really couldn't afford it. But I said, I can't grow if I don't do that, because I'm too busy doing that work.
Yeah, you can.
So I took the risk. I hired her, and then I was able to get more work. Therefore, all of a sudden, I could afford it, and so on and so forth. That keeps happening, and now I've grown to the point to the perfect business model for what we do. Meaning, I have. I'll give you an example. Framing is one of the beginning stages where we actually frame the basement. So that crew will come in. They'll frame the basement. They'll be in the basement, I don't know, between 3 to 5 days, depending on how big the basement is, which is fairly quick. The homeowner at that point comes to us and says, oh my God, we were so happy we went with you guys. These guys are amazing. We love them. They're nice. All our guys, we don't have day workers. Everybody is family men, and they're men and women. And we really are just all about like that. We want people to feel really comfortable. I always say every new employee has to go through the wife test. if I tell my wife, if you don't feel comfortable being alone with this person, I can't hire them.
I hired them.
It's just that simple. Just that simple. And she's got a very good, keen judgment, but just in general, we're real careful about doing that. But
Great.
where I was going with this is, so then they say, oh my God, so when are these guys coming back? The answer is never. Those framers finish the framing, and that's all they do. So if you think about that timeline, they do the framing, then they move to the next one, then they move to the next one. So what happens is the homeowner gets this unbelievable experience because they're getting these guys that are just fantastic at what they do because that's all they do. They're not framing one day and sheetrocking another day and insulating and painting. My plumber doesn't do electrical work. My electrician's not going to be painting. So what we call, so you're getting a master at every trade at every step. So the customer really, really benefits from that, which is the actual quite different from most contractors. And I'm not saying this in a bad way because I was this person through my growth where you call, jack of all trade and master of none. So what that means is, I'm showing up in the morning and I'm doing the framing. And when I finish the framing, hey, tomorrow I'm going to start your electrical work. And next day I'm going to do your plumbing. And nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of guys, but at the end of the day, the quality that you're going to get from a system like I have is far superior because that plumber is only doing plumbing every day of his life. So I think that's one of the most important takeaways that I really want homeowners to understand about us because they benefit dramatically from getting that professional at, every single stage.
Yeah. And I also want to ask you in terms of the design of the basements themselves, do you have like an interior designer on your team, or is that something where you come up with every design on your own, or is there a certain team? Because you have a lot of beautifully well done basements on your Instagram. People have a chance to go through it. They see that you do all these different types of works basements, different sizes and colorings. So what is that process like?
Yeah, so there's two parts to the design process. There's the interior design, which comes a little bit later. And my wife is an interior designer. And I'm not saying that she does all the basements. Some homeowners have their own designers. Some don't use anybody, which probably about 50% just like do it themselves, just for budget reasons. But prior to all that, there's the actual layout design. And that is by far, of all the decisions a homeowner has to make during the process, the design is the most important. So I tell people all the time, there's a lot of great carpenters out there, as good as me, better than me, whatever, that can build the walls and put up the molding and do this beautiful, beautiful job. But the difference between us and everybody else is the experience of the design and the layout of the basement. So one of the most important thing I think I bring to the table is I come into the basement, I spend some time meeting with the homeowners, understanding their wish list, understanding their needs, understanding their family, how you're going to use the basement. Is it going to be an extension of your home? Are we doing something different that's going to be fun down there? So what's your needs today? What's also your needs in the future as the kids get older? So I take all of that information, then I look at the basement and I look at the parameters. What am I working with? How many columns do I have? Did they want a bathroom? Are we adding an entrance? Unbelievable amount of like different things to think about. And then at that point, I come up with a design and I present that to the homeowners. And on my website, there's a link of how we actually do that, which is very, very unique. And again, I don't know of anybody doing it that way. We actually will physically design their basement in their basement where.
So you'll do it while you're in there?
Yeah. So again, I won't get too crazy into it because there's in the design process on my website, you can watch that video. But it brings the people into a 3D full real life rendering of their basement. It's not some really fancy computer version or you see these things on HGTV where really cool stuff. I have all those programs, but what I learned a long time ago was, those things look great, but then when you build it, sometimes you're like, wow, you know what? It looked great when you showed me on that 3D thing, but I was expecting this room to be a little bigger. And so our process flips that around and we do the live version in your house, and then we bring it into the 3D CAD after that.
Wow. So it's definitely a process. Mm-hmm. So now we have to talk about this because the coronavirus has been affecting every business in so many different ways. So when the pandemic hit New Jersey, hard and, the restrictions started to get put in place, how did that affect your business? Did you see, less clients? Were there concerns? Were people reaching out to you more? What was that like in the initial first moments?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, it was like scary for everybody, for a lot of reasons, and especially for small business owners. So initially, like we wanted to play it safe. We have a lot of jobs going on. Like I said, 70 jobs in progress. I think right now we're at 75, but at the time I think we were right there as well. And we were like, well, listen, we want to be. So we reached out to everybody, want to let them know that we're going to just be, sitting back for a little, seeing what's going on. We want to make sure everybody's safe. And then I initially got really concerned because we do some really high end stuff, but we also do a lot of regular basements. And some of the bigger end stuff that people were starting to panic because they seen their money in their market going down. Hey, I'm going to put this project on hold. I don't know what the future is. I might lose my job. So yes, it was a lot of fear. And that lasted for a few weeks. And then all of a sudden, we were starting to worry a little bit. All of a sudden, it just changed, and it changed dramatically better for us. So what we started seeing was, hey, I'm stuck working home. I know you came out here last year to give us a price on our basement. We didn't pull the trigger. We'd like to pull the trigger. We'd like to. I need that home office. I got to get the kids in the basement. So with everybody cooped up in the house, it really started benefiting us a lot. And the phone started ringing off the hook. And now a lot of the old jobs came around, even a lot of new estimates.
Nice.
And it changed the way we do business too, in a lot of ways. Typically, I do all the estimates, I do all the appointments, and it's we also overseeing things. So I only have so many appointments in a week that I can actually go out to people's homes. And if they're all over New Jersey, I could have one an hour away, and then next one could be an hour in the other direction. So I can only get maybe let's say 4 appointments a day, plus because I have to oversee other stuff. So we started then doing these virtual estimates because we didn't want to get in the house. Didn't know how that was going to work out, but it's working out unbelievable because basically what I'm doing now through Zoom or whatever meeting, it could be iPhone, it could be just like whatever. So a million different ways to do it. Basically now the homeowners are walking me through the basement, and essentially I'm doing exactly what I would have been doing if I was standing right next to them. Yeah. Literally. Saving gas, saving time. And now I can do 3 times the amount of appointments that I could do in a day, because I could be, one appointment right now and hang up, and a minute later I could be at an appointment that would have been an hour drive. Mm. And so what's happening is when we started getting contracts from this, and I would then show up, and maintain our social distancing and all that good stuff to verify if my findings that I did online were right, and they're very, very accurate. So we, I think, have now changed our business forever, regardless of the pandemic, as a result of this.
So do you see yourself, even when things hopefully improve, do you think you're going to continue with the virtual estimates and those other changes?
Yeah, 100%. This is definitely a new way for us to do business, and definitely for the better. It's actually going to help us to scale even more. And there's no downside to the homeowner. They're getting, it's actually a plus for them, because now instead of waiting 2 or 3 weeks for me to get out there to give them an estimate, they call today. I might be doing an estimate that afternoon.
Wow.
So they love it, and we guarantee the minute I have a FaceTime with them, it's within 24 hours you have an estimate in your hands.
Nice. And now I believe it was May 18th where New Jersey allowed for all construction businesses to resume. So out of curiosity, now that you have, contractors, electricians, plumbers, different people in your company going into these houses and working with one another, do you have any specific safety or health procedures that you're following to make sure everybody stays safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the safety is the most important thing to us, for our guys, our employees, our family, our customers' families. So we've always had safety guidelines in place. Now, obviously, it's a little different. So a lot of our basements have walkout entrances, or where you can actually enter right into the basement from the outside. And if they don't have them, a lot of times we're adding them. So which is also interesting, that we do get a lot of those because people want it to truly feel like another story of their home. So in scenarios like that, it's fantastic because, they're living upstairs. A lot of times we put a lock on that door upstairs, so you don't have to worry about guys coming and going. Not that it's an issue, but we just want them to feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And nobody has to worry. They can, we do our thing down there. There's even times where we're down in the basement and I'm FaceTiming the people who are upstairs in the living room. I'll say, hey, we're over here. We're trying to work on the movie theater. What do you think of this? And they'll go down at night and look at it. So that's probably half of our work. The other half, we do have to enter the home. So we enter the home. I mean, all our guys, including myself, we all have our branded face masks.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So,
Nice.
so we're always wanting to make sure everybody's feeling, safe and secure. But we have conversations with them. Say, listen, what's your comfort level? Like, for argument's sake, my guys they have a rule that none of my guys' feet are ever allowed to touch a homeowner's floor. So they usually roll down a carpet on their way in, a tarp, and then roll it on their way out. So we're always taking that precaution. And then we say to them, do you want to just give us access there? You want us to wear gloves? We're always going to wear a mask. So we respect the homeowners and how they feel about it. Maybe they don't want us entering when their kids are home, whatever they want us to do. And then we work around it. It's not that big of a deal. And we've been very safe with everybody and we're getting great feedback on that.
That's great. It sounds like you guys are definitely taking safety, made that a priority.
Of course, it always is. Safety is a priority regardless of this.
Right.
And it's number one thing to take into consideration for any construction project.
Right. And a follow-up question with that is, obviously, whenever you work on these projects, you need certain materials to, whether that's like new carpeting or if you're framing, you need like woodwork. What has that been like has gathering the materials and, making sure that everything is ready to move forward, has that been an issue or has everything been okay in that way?
Yeah, so procuring materials has definitely been more challenging right now than it's ever been. We're very fortunate that we have great relationships. We're with supply houses. Even Home Depot we do a lot of business. We're one of the largest contractors in the region for Home Depot. So, and Home Depot, giving them a plug right now, does a great job of really kind of catering to us, where we work, what they call pro desk, and we have an account manager, and we I'll my material I'll put in an email the night before, and it'll be ready for us the next morning, or they'll do a delivery. So we're all about streamlining everything and making everything efficient. So, it's very uncommon for us to wake up in the morning and go to Home Depot and walk down the aisle and pick up we need one this and go down that aisle and do this. So you're losing money if you're doing that, as far as I'm concerned, and you're wasting time. So that, that would take, imagine I got over 100 guys. Imagine if they all did that every morning for an hour.
Yeah.
So you add that up annually and it's pretty substantial. So what we do is we're thinking ahead. So we're looking at that timeline. What do I need here? Let's send the email and have it delivered and sitting there waiting for us when we get there. So by thinking ahead, it helps us also get the materials that sometimes are hard to get. And it also keeps us really efficient.
Nice. And I have to ask, you've worked on so many different projects, and I'm just curious, do you have a favorite finished basement project that sticks with you, or is there there's a story that you really enjoy sharing?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I truly love what I do. I mean, I mean it. Like I don't just say it. I really love it. I enjoy meeting new people. I like the fact, like my personal, like, the way I am, it would be impossible for me to sit at a desk in an office. I need, change. That's just what I need. And man, what better business to be in than not only am I getting change, I'm meeting new people all the time. And, but as far as like a favorite, I have a project going on right now. I said, this is the best basement I ever did. I had so much fun doing it until I start the next one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I never would have thought was able to do this. And look at how great this one is. And, and I just think, man, it can't get better than this. And then the next, there's something better. And, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. It's just, we just keep evolving. And to me, like, I literally get the goosebumps saying it right now because it's literally that much fun just coming up with, I mean, whoever thought I was going to be digging out basements and putting in golf and sports simulators, or the thought of putting a slide in through a fake hidden fireplace on the first floor of a house into the basement.
I think I saw it on Instagram.
What's the fireplace got? A hidden door with a slide. So that's where we're going to start this video.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting about that? Like, it wasn't premeditated. That homeowner with the slide, never forget it. I walked in his front door. He has 4 little kids, like under 4. He had like triplets and whatever. And he goes, I'm in his foyer, didn't even get in the basement yet. He goes, I want something different that you never did before. I want something fun. And, you know, I need you to just give me a wow. And I just stood there. I said, all right, how about we put a slide going into your basement? I don't even know where that came from. You know what I mean? Like, but yet.
Loved it though.
We did it. I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing.
That's awesome.
But so they're all special.
That's great. And, you know, I didn't get a chance to ask earlier, but out of curiosity, how many people, if there is a specific number, in total do you have working at Finished Basement NJ?
So whether, so some are subcontractors, employees, whatever. And, you know, but these subcontractors, you know, like electrical, because they have to be licensed separately. They rely wholeheartedly on us for survival. So, you know, we talk about it all the time. There's about 100, you know, men and women that rely on me to, you know, keep feeding the beast and getting more jobs so that we can all continue to work, because there's so many trades, and, you know, between, like I said, the framing and electrical and insulation and plumbing and on and on and on, plus, you know, office and you know, so there's a lot of people that rely on this business as a source of income. And it's nice to know that, you know, during this pandemic, there's, you know, well over 100 people that aren't really being affected financially, you know, from this. And it feels really good. It feels really good to know that.
That's great. And, you know, Pat, I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers, or anything else that you want to say about your business?
Yeah, so we're a family-run business. It's always been that way, and we are all about family. Right from the design, everything I talk about is like, how can we get your family together? You know, that's what, when we're trying to think of a design for a basement, like what does everybody have the same interest, whether it's a movie theater or a place to play board games or puzzles. And that comes from me being a family guy. So I have 4 children, 2 granddaughters, and they're just all amazing and are all different in their own way. And as a family business, a lot of them are involved. My son is just recently graduated University of Alabama, and he's with us full time. He's amazing, like unbelievable. He's everybody calls him Mini Me. You know, and my wife does design work. You know, my other daughter helps with social media. My, you know, my other daughter helps with coordination. So we're all kind of really involved in the business because it's important to us for it to be successful.
That's amazing. And, you know, if people want to see more, they can go to Finished Basement NJ on Instagram, correct?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Finished Basement NJ. Is there anything else that, you know, I think you also have a podcast. Is that something that you want to plug in maybe?
So I don't have a podcast. I've been interviewed on a few podcasts before, and you know, it's really cool just to get that stuff out there and just to get our name out there. One of the things that we're doing right now that's really interesting that I think a lot of people don't know about us is I'm now designing basements all over the country. So especially with this this whole you know pandemic with the virtual, we're really learning that you know, I can't build them outside of New Jersey, but I can design them. So now we're starting to get contracts with some celebrities actually as well, where they're actually hiring me. I'm helping design their basement, and we are doing it like crazy reasonable. Like we're at like $3,000 to literally design a basement, including plans anywhere in the country, so that they can then hire a local contractor. And we would even offer a service to help manage them as well. But that's starting to take off, and we're doing right now. We're really fortunate. We're doing a basement for Mike Sorrentino, Mike and Lauren from Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Situation.
Oh my gosh! Look at that. That's awesome.
So it's cool because they're so pumped about us, and they're so like positive about us. They happen to be fantastic people, and I mean, we just absolutely love them. But so their reach is not just New Jersey. So we're starting to see people reaching out to us all over the country as a result of stuff like that. And offering the design services, that's a unique feature because we're giving somebody that could be out west, possibly a design for $3,000 where their local contractor doesn't have the experience that I have of doing 3,500 basements. I've designed 3,500 basements. I challenge anybody in the country to tell me they've designed more basements than I have. So they get that plus a plan, and you just can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Pat, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me. It's been great to learn so much more about finished basement NJ.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Construction Business TV. I've been speaking with Pat Gagliano, the founder and designer of Finished Basement NJ, located in Freehold Township, New Jersey. Subscribe to our channel to hear the latest from construction businesses and click on that bell button to get notified the next time we post a video. Thank you for watching. My name is Natalie Benoit and I'm reporting for Quality Trades and CBTV. I'll see you next time.